Hey guys, this week's podcast features Mike Khoury, Donnie's best friend and New York City resident for over 3 years. Mike came down, talked about living in the city, New York's amazing food scene, and how he began his journey in adventurous eating. Let's get to it.
How long, what has it been, like 4 years that you've been in the city now?
Yeah, almost 3.5, I believe.
Three and a half. How long does it take somebody to live in the city before they start to feel like they're a New Yorker? At what point did you stop feeling like that you were like visiting?
Yeah, I'll tell you when. It was I remember this coming up right after I moved there, and saying, oh, you have to be there a while, you have to put your time in, and I think once that first rent bill comes in, then you're like, you know what, like screw everyone, I'm a New Yorker because I paid that much in rent. Is there
like a certain like hierarchy of like people who have been in New York City longer that they feel they have more New York City cred?
I can't say I've encountered that. I think the natives feel that way maybe.
Yeah.
They grew up in Brooklyn maybe, and not like the hip Brooklyn, but
yeah.
The real one.
When it was scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Scarier.
Right, or maybe more neighborhoody, like family neighborhoody. But no, I've never encountered that where it's like, oh, I've been here 6 years, so I'm like your senior. I've never come across New York
becoming
seniority.
A partner or something.
Yeah. They're not card carrying members of seniority. I don't know. I've never seen that.
Yeah. So, kind of one of the big turning points in my food evolution, and I think probably for yours, was when you first lived in New York for those 3 months back in like 2008.
2008, that's right. The summer I was there for training for 2 months. And I tried to cover as much as I could in as little time as I had.
Yeah.
And I would have coworkers go with me. I had a list of places that I'd either heard about on TV or friends had told me about.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite things I did was I would bring my Chinese coworkers with me, and I'd be like, guys, like take me to Chinatown, wherever you guys go, I want to come. And they really opened my eyes to a lot of things I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
And I really got to eat with the locals. Like a lot of places where like I couldn't order. Like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
where they did not have like an English menu?
No. It was just you guys pick stuff and I'll just eat it when it comes.
I mean, before you went to New York though, like had you already started to care about that foodie type of or unique ethnic cuisines? Or?
Yeah. I think the first time my eyes are open to that. I grew up in a Lebanese family with a lot of Lebanese food. Where a lot of that's kind of considered weird, I guess. Like liver and a lot of raw lamb and.
Did you freak out like kids in elementary school with your like home lunches? Or
yeah, exactly. Like it'd be pita bread and they'd freak out. Even though like ham and cheese on pita bread, they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's the same thing, guys. Your bread is just like, oh my god, it's so weird." Like, no, it's really. But yeah. So there was no winning. And then if you bring anything like more authentic, it's they thought I was really weird, but that's okay.
Yeah. I still remember when at Circuit City when your one cousin opened up the restaurant in the mall.
In the McKinley Mall.
Yeah, and you brought all this food.
It was like grape leaves.
Yeah, and the one guy was like losing, like basically
he
rolling.
Almost puked in the garbage can because he took a bite of grape leaves. Like, I was like, come on. Like,
rolling
really?
around on the ground almost. Like, how horrible. His like,
I know.
You ruined his life.
Yeah.
Like, because he had to bite.
That's exaggerated. Come on. Like, you're being a little dramatic.
Yeah.
There was always that, especially growing up, like where we grew up, you and I in the Southtowns.
Very cultured.
Yeah, for sure. But I would say like a lot of like, things like a casserole or burgers were like not weird to me, but like that's what I had much less frequently than raw lamb or something of the sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I remember my aunts looking at my dish and be like, "Hey, are you gonna finish all that?" Or my dad, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? There's only like bones in here." And because it was like these stewed meat, right, where you boil the meat and the bones all together.
Yeah.
And there was just bones in my dish, and they're like, "Are you going to eat that?" I'm like, "What?" And then my aunt would like grab the bones and just suck the marrow out of it, and I'd be like,
wow,
thinking like they were like the weirdest people. But
they're ahead of the curve,
way ahead of the curve for sure. Or tripe, eating tripe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was called tripe at the time. I didn't know that was a cool thing. It was just here's this cow stomach that's been boiling in my grandma's kitchen for 10 hours. It smells awful.
It smells the worst.
Yeah, it's when they're cook. I actually really enjoy it, but like when they're cooking it smells terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I was exposed to things that I would think most of the kids that you and I went to school with weren't exposed to.
Yeah, so you maybe had less of a a fear of trying something new?
Yeah,
or?
probably. And then I remember I went to visit my cousin in LA once, and it was like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And he really introduced me to a lot of the Asian cuisine that we don't have here in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And that was the first time like my eyes were open to, I mean, it sounds like, basic, but like sushi. Like I'd never had sushi really. And he kind of taught me how you eat it and what's it about. And Vietnamese food, I remember going for pho. And Thai food, we went to this Thai restaurant where there would be a bunch of Thai performers, but they were like an Elvis impersonator, but he was Thai. And then there was a Johnny Cash impersonator, and he was Thai. Like, it was hysterical.
I want to open this restaurant.
Yeah, it was hysterical, but like only in LA, right?
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of Asian food I'd never really heard of, and then I got here. And I remember thinking, like, I need to find all this stuff.
Yeah, and this is probably before Yelp and before a lot of those online resources.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I certainly didn't know about it if it was there. I mean, you're talking 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
I remember I got one of our good buddies to, like, come with me to a few places. We went to a Thai place around here. We went to... I think we tried to go to a Jamaican spot once. It didn't work out. I don't know. We tried to like venture out.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the beginning of my curiosity. And then, I'd start watching a lot of Food Network and just like everyone else.
Yeah.
I think I got into, I started working at Citigroup in 2006 with a lot of Chinese coworkers. So I'd ask them about it and kind of eat with them and talk to them.
I'm so jealous. I was hoping that I would have some more ethnic coworkers in my group, and it's just white people who are even pickier than my family. Yeah, so it's like
I kind of got lucky. I had some really great guys there that showed me the ropes.
Nice. Those are key.
Yeah.
I mean, only recently have like Chinese restaurants here even like started putting English words next to their homestyle menu. Like they are just realizing that like dudes like me want to have like the good stuff.
Yeah, that's probably relatively new. I mean, when I was going out with these guys, like they would basically acknowledge that there's nowhere to go for authentic Chinese, but they would tell me what's wrong with this Chinese, you know what I mean? And I used to just joke around with them a lot. We'd have a good time with it, but they also took me to some Korean places.
Nice.
I didn't really know anything about Korean. So that's
so
you're
kind of building that knowledge and that.
Yeah, I think I was always generally very curious. Like I always wanted to just know.
Yeah.
And then, once it becomes accessible, then you kind of pursue that.
Yeah. So as you were about to leave for New York City, because you were there for like 3 months, right?
Yeah, 2 months.
2 months. So like, were you just building up this list before you arrived?
it was a smaller list from like a lot of coworkers who had been to New York before.
Okay.
They were like, oh, the bosses took us to this Brazilian steakhouse. You have to try it. Or,
nice.
Various restaurants and bars. And then I had my Chinese friends over there that really took me around.
Yeah.
I just kind of let them
pick and choose for you.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that was like the summer where you like fell in love with New York City.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, before then I'd never had a really good experience with it.
Yeah. And I mean, aside from like pretty much the ideal scenario of you getting to live there for free for 2 months and having like dinner and everything.
I know, right?
Do you think that the food was a large reason why you really loved New York City? Or, I mean...
that's a good question. I don't know. I never really thought of that. That's got to be part of it, for sure.
Because it seemed like it was a big thing. If you like every day, you kind of planned like the day around where you're going to go for lunch and dinner almost.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess just in general of being able to discover new things on a daily basis is definitely part of the appeal of New York.
Yeah. And I mean also, like the night spots, like the places to hang out and have drinks and stuff like that.
For sure.
It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess so when you started to incorporate or like see all these restaurants and like, was there any part of like an overwhelmingness to like to have so many options? Because I mean, in Buffalo, like if we're working at Citigroup out in Gettsville, like we have the radius of however many miles where we're gonna go to the same 15 restaurants and have gone there, over and over and over again.
Sure.
Living in New York City, I mean, there's like 10,000 restaurants like around you. I mean,
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Like, has that ever gotten to a point where it's been a little overwhelming to kind of keep up with what's new and try to, I mean, as we've gotten like Eater and things like that have come out, but but especially like early on.
Yeah, I mean, as a hobby, I think I generally try to keep up on what's new by following blogs like Eater or Grub Street. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, you know, specifically being overwhelming, I remember like when I lived in the East Village for a little bit, okay, there's such a high concentration of just sort of like cheap food, but really good cheap food, you know, that specializes in various cuisines. Maybe it's all sorts of different Asians, but like you'd pull up Seamless, okay?
Yeah.
Seamless is this delivery website where I have it on my phone, I pull up the app, and it knows where I am, obviously, via GPS, and it says these restaurants are will deliver to your location, okay?
Yeah.
And so all the restaurants that sign up for Seamless put their menu online, and I can order online. I could tip through the app. Everything is through the app. So like the guy, you put in your order and the guy just shows up to your door. You don't have to tip him. Like all that awkwardness isn't there. That's amazing. It's already taken care of, right? So depending on where you are, the restaurants will change in your, you know, in the list. So being there, like there would literally pull up like 200 restaurants to choose from. And on the left side is like, oh, what cuisine do you want? You know, Chinese, Vietnamese, kosher, deli, Indian, bagels, like you name it. It's just anything you could think of, Caribbean, Malaysian, just the most obscure, you know, really specific stuff. So I would be like, you know, I'm just going to stay in today and order something quick. And an hour and a half later, I'm still scrolling the menu with multiple tabs open, comparing this Vietnamese restaurant to this, like, you know, hot dog joint to... it's like, for sure. It can be overwhelming sometimes. Yeah.
Because like my cousin lives in New York City, and I remember talking to him about like eating, and I told him how awesome it was that he lives in a city where there's every option you could think of.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, it's great. He's like, but I live near 10 Thai restaurants and 7 of them are horrible. He's like, so it's awesome that there's so many, but you have to figure out like which ones are,
which is good. Sure.
Yeah. And like that seems.
Well, I think that's where the blogs come in. That's where Yelp comes in. That's where Eater comes in. Because I mean, it's kind of a commitment to go to a restaurant, right? I mean, not only is there a cost to going there, but there's like an opportunity cost, right? If you want to get all economic, because by going to this restaurant, you're not going to a different restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, and so you kind of need those ratings. Like I really hate Yelp in that, like, I don't want to read this person's review. I have a lot of reasons for that.
I think there's a different community in like the New York City Yelp versus the Buffalo Yelp scene. Like,
how so?
I think that people in like a bigger city like New York or Chicago or Toronto, like they take Yelp as like their blog. Like this is where I'm making my voice. Like I think there's more pride in having like the elite status and things like that.
So do you think the quality of the reviews are better or worse?
I think that people take themselves way more serious in the reviews.
A bad way?
It could be.
Could be.
I mean, it could be good if they're being constructive or they're actually giving or it could be I'm pulling it out to show you how big it is. Like this is how much I know about food, guys. Like I don't know. It seems it's hard to tell what their intentions are with the post. I guess
that's fair. So,
but on Buffalo, it could be like, well, the waitress didn't even come by a second time to refill my drink. 1 star.
1 star, right?
But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think that definitely happens in New York too. Like you'll get a lot of those. Like me and my friends just wanted a spot for my birthday, and you know, on it goes. But I think if the place has like 1,000 Yelp reviews, then you could just look at the average rating, and you could probably get some good quality information out of that.
That's pretty clutch.
You'll drive yourself crazy reading the actual reviews, but I mean, just basically paying attention to that, or what Eater's talking about, or what Grub Street's talking. I don't know. You kind of get the feel for what places are worth it. Yeah, you might be missing out on some places that haven't yet been discovered, or maybe are just criminally underrated. I don't know. Yeah. But I think that's a good place to start.
Is it hard to, though, like with a city like New York, like, okay, if a new restaurant's open in Buffalo, it's like a big deal. Mm-hmm. Like when Mike A's new restaurant Tapo just opened, like everyone knew about it for like last 6 months. Italian one? Yeah. Sure. It's his 4th restaurant. Like everyone was talking about it because there's not a lot of high profile restaurant openings that happen every. Okay. Like it seems like in New York, there's a lot, like a website could just be devoted to the opening and closings of restaurants, it seems. Do you find it easy enough to keep track of like all the new stuff that's constantly like opening?
I mean, you can never keep up, right? I think you just try your best.
Yeah.
If you really want to.
Yeah.
You can follow along on the blogs and see what's opening and closing, but you'll only hit the ones that are like hot. You know, trendy.
Yeah.
You might miss 100 others. I don't know how you keep up. I know it's actually impossible. I'm pretty sure.
And also, I mean, there's so many neighborhoods. Like you could really focus on one neighborhood and get really familiar with everything in there, but you're still missing out on. I
don't think like when I lived in the East Village, if I had gone to a different restaurant and a different bar every night, I'm not sure if I would have never caught up, but I think it would have taken years because as you go to places, other ones shut down and new ones open.
Yeah.
So you're constantly like chasing your tail in a way.
Yeah.
But I think it's a hopeless pursuit to try to catch all of them and know everything that's opening. I mean, you can only do your best and just.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like when I knew somebody who worked for Yelp and she went to New York City to work for the Brooklyn Yelp. And then at that point I realized like it's such a big deal that their Yelp community managers or whatever are actually separated by like neighborhood.
By borough?
Yeah,
Or actually neighborhood?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. It's just it's insane to think how densely populated those areas are that there's that much going on in certain areas.
Sure.
So what do you think your relationship about like finding new places, cool places to eat as when you first moved to New York, like for real, as opposed to now? Like have you kind of relaxed or you're like, okay, I don't have to try everything?
Yeah, I definitely have.
Well, I mean, because like you have to be I can only imagine if I moved to New York City the first month, I'd be like, did you know there's a sandwich shop that it's a banh mi mixed with a croissant? Like I feel like I would be.
I think the first 2 years I spent like running around like just frantically, just trying to be like, oh my god, here's another one. Like, just should I try this? Should I try this? Should I try this? Like,
yeah.
You know, I think that mellows out after a while.
Yeah,
I think that's where I am, which is nice. It's actually kind of relaxing. It's less stressful.
I mean, have you found that
Japanese hot dogs? Oh my god, I need to try that. There's seaweed. No, you don't get it. There's seaweed on the hot dog.
It's really big in Portland. They just opened their first New York location.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Are you talking about Japa dog?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah. How has it been like finding like people who are also interested in food? 'Cause I mean, I think definitely if you look at Buffalo in the last 5 years, more people are into it. Mm-hmm. But it seems like that's probably going on for a while in New York City.
Maybe. I think it's less than you'd expect.
Really?
I think there's a huge community of foodies in New York.
Yeah.
But that's like absolute numbers wise. Because
of pure percentage.
Yeah, pure percentage. Well, it's probably a higher percentage than Buffalo, but I don't think it's that much higher.
Okay.
I think it's still harder than you think to find like fellow foodies that are willing to try anything or know what's happening with the new and cool restaurants.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things
like,
I just
you think
always
like
assume.
Everyone walking around is familiar with every single, David Chang opening or has like
their own special like bone marrow spoon that they use to
exactly.
like scoop out.
I find it's kind of the opposite. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Has that been? I have to feel like
you can find them for sure. There's definitely a lot of them, but in any average group of friends, I don't think that's going to be the majority.
It's not that drastic or it's probably more than a group of friends here, but not as drastic as I'm thinking in my head.
To just make up ridiculous numbers, let's say 5% of Buffalo are foodies. Maybe 8 or 10% are foodies in New York, but like absolute numbers wise, that's like millions more.
Yeah.
But it's still 10% of everyone who's there.
That makes sense. Yeah, that I guess makes sense. I feel like that would be intimidating to make plans with people or to have so many options. Like, I don't know.
Plans are tough. They're really stressful.
Yeah.
There's nothing more stressful. Ask any New York person than like the birthday plan. Because
what's this? You gotta,
because everyone like, oh, I just want to do something for my birthday. I want to go somewhere where everyone can hang out and everyone can get in on a Saturday, and like, we can like dance. Like every girl will ask you that. Like, where's a place I can go for my birthday where we can just like dance and hang out, but like it's not that serious and like it's cheap, but like it's not like super crowded.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that place actually doesn't exist. like actually, it doesn't exist at all.
And if it does, we are not cool enough to know about this place that has zero advertising.
I'm definitely not cool enough for that place, and I can't afford that place anyways. So for like your average person, like it doesn't exist. So you try to figure out somewhere like, okay, where can I have all 20 people that I know or 20 or 30 people meet me where it's convenient for everybody.
Yeah.
And they can all get in on a Friday or Saturday. Yeah. But it's not like super divey, but it's not like super, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to.
There's not bottle service.
It's not bottle service. Like everyone's not going to, it's really hard. It's stressful.
Yeah.
I find it stressful. Yeah.
That does seem really stressful. Because when me and Allie went, not this April, but the last one, we went to a bar, and I remember we got in and we turned around and like guys behind us weren't allowed in the bar. And like that was my first ever experience of like a bar where they were like,
and it was a bar, like not like a hot.
Yeah, this wasn't. Yeah, this was a nightclub we were going to. This was just like.
Was that the Wren?
Yes, it was. I believe
that was a cool place.
Yeah, but like it was my first experience of like people getting turned away. Like that has never happened in Buffalo.
Right. And there's like you have to think of like you have to consider ratios.
Yeah.
Like ratio.
Yeah, we got in because like Allie was with us.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it was you and I, they'd be like, nah. But since there was a girl, they'd be like, okay. Or I've gone to places before where they're like, I don't like your ratio. Like what? Like it's 3 guys and 2 girls. Like you got to be 1-to-1, bro. Or
was any
then
of
you
that
just turn around and leave.
Was any of that like shocking, or were you expecting that kind of?
I don't know. I don't remember. It was probably shocking.
I just feel like there had to be some type of shock of the nightlife.
Yeah, like what? Yeah.
Also, like price wise, I feel like the sticker shock of. But you've told me that you can drink cheaper in New York than you can in Buffalo.
If you really want to, you can. Yeah.
How does that work?
I mean, you could find places with like $1 beer night or something.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that you'd want to be at those places. Like they might have a really kind of douchey crowd.
Yeah, yeah.
For lack of a better term. But
that's fine. Yeah, you can say douchey on this podcast.
I can say douchey. I don't know. Maybe I'll take that back. That you can drink cheaper here in New York than Buffalo. I mean, I'm gonna formally...
some specifics in like a very specific scenario. Yes, you can drink cheaper.
It's possible.
It's possible. As a general rule, definitely not possible.
No. Not even close.
If you just got like, do you ever catch yourself coming to Buffalo and being like,
yeah, like $8 for that beer, like that's not bad. Like you say stuff like that, and it's like ridiculous, right? Like,
and your cousins are just looking at you like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and even I catch myself like, no, that is ridiculous. Like that's not it's not like Buffalo cheap. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, you start thinking like, $8 for this beer is not that bad.
It's a whole, but I feel like eating doesn't have that same way. I mean, certainly there's a little extra.
I think our taste is like more in just kind of the hole in the wall type of place.
Yeah, or like a place that's doing something creative, but that doesn't mean it's like white linen tables.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like when we would go to like our crawls, which would be 4 restaurants in a span of 3 hours. Like we were never going anywhere that was like that expensive. Like you can eat really well in New York, but not have to drop, $40 every time.
For sure.
I mean that's probably one of the better things of trying to try out a bunch of new cuisines or anything like that.
Yeah.
So how is it with like the knock that Buffalo always gets is that we get things like 3 years behind. Uh-huh. Like there's always that lag of like what's popular in whatever fashion, food or music or whatever.
This is really big in New York right now.
Yeah. Like when we started getting, I mean, we got like cupcake shops like in 2011.
Right. And
like
they got popular because of like Sex and the City, which was in like what, 2001 or 2?
Yeah. Like in 2004 probably was like a cupcake boom in like LA and New York. And then it showed up here in 2011. Like, do you, like when you come back to town, are you like, do you feel happy that Buffalo's like getting these trends behind the times, or is part of you like, oh, that's sad that they think that's cool now?
I don't know. It's not that there's one trend that's hot in New York at any point in time. It's that there's like 20. You know? So some of them don't even make it very far, even within New York or any of the other cities.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, like cocktails. Let's even talk about that.
Okay.
So we got Vera and we had Mike A's last year.
Great. I love them both, by the way.
Yeah. And would you say they hold up to your New York City standards?
I have a great time, and I think the drinks are great.
Yeah. I'm putting you on the spot.
Is that me formally endorsing them?
They're going to have it.
They're going to be really thrilled that Mike cares.
Yeah. It's going to be on like their next menu where they have like the little like quote.
They're going to quote me.
Mike.
Mike.
Mike from New York City.
Yeah. Mike. Don's friend Mike from New York really enjoyed this cocktail.
He lives in New York. It's a really big deal.
It's a big... Credible.
Yeah. But so, that trend's been going on in New York City for at least like a decade, maybe?
Yeah, that's about right.
And so we finally got it here in Buffalo, and there was like a big deal made because it was $10 drinks. Not even because of like what was in them or anything, just
like
because
uproar that it was $10 a drink.
I think it was a minor uproar. I think that there's people who are like, "This is Buffalo. Mm-hmm. We do not serve $10 drinks."
Okay.
I mean, like it just.
Are they wrong?
I don't know, but like when you come to Buffalo and see something like that happening, does that like kind of make you feel happy that like Buffalo is like improving?
I was happy. I remember you introduced me to Vera. We went there and we had a great time, and I was thrilled that like you know.
Yeah.
I like seeing progress.
Yeah,
you know? And it doesn't have to be out there, you know, just really obscure types of food where it's more like creative than it is like practical.
That makes sense. So like if somebody opened like a yakitori spot on like the end of Allen, that was just like, oh, it's really cool that we have yakitori. And somebody put like $100,000 into this building, but no one's going to go there.
They might be reaching, I guess. But, I like seeing that obviously Vera opened, and I think they killed it right from the beginning. Yeah. And I think I was more happy seeing that people actually wanted it. Yeah. That's what I was happier about.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's just weird.
Because I think you and I are both in the same boat that we appreciate quality, you know, and I think people should demand quality. Not that there's anything wrong with $2 beers. I mean, we can have a great time with $2 beers, but once in a while you want something different. And
I would say like a more grown-up night.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, you can get pretty drunk at Vera, but I feel like it's a different atmosphere than if we were, say, across the street at Thirsty Buffalo. Yeah.
Those are different nights.
Yeah.
But it's cool because I think that they're doing quality stuff. It's there's like an element of like craftsmanship there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think we appreciate that, and it's cool that other people want that. Yeah. They should want it. You should demand quality.
Yeah.
Right?
But I mean, as far as like, so that trend hit last year, and if you want to call it a trend, 2 places opening. But since then, there have been restaurants that have like reshaped their bar and are now doing like cocktail programs and are putting $10 drinks on their menus. Like in New York City, when a trend comes, like does it fizzle out pretty quick? Do you notice? Like if you see like something,
I think it depends. I mean, like I said, there's always different trends going on at the same time. So like the burger thing was, you know, the cupcake thing, the wood fire pizza thing, like that stuff lasts a long time. Cocktails have been going, but other trends probably fizzle out much sooner.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious. You would think that in New York City, like something could come and go pretty quick because there's always something.
It happens all the time, like these little flashes.
Yeah, because
not even like full trends.
Because
flashes.
Because something new's right around the corner that's gonna take over the spotlight. I mean, like the cronut thing right now is like
it's cronut mania, baby.
Yeah, you just waited in line.
I'm a huge sucker.
I love that we were going over the things that you've waited in line for, and they're like some of the nerdiest things of all time.
Yeah, that list of like things I've waited in line 2+ hours for. It was like an iPhone, the NFL draft, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. You got to go the first day.
And a Cronut now.
It's the big three.
Does that just sum me up? Is that it? Is that all I am?
It kind of does,
That's
actually.
pretty much it. That's all I am.
It actually does a really good job of like, if there had to be three things that like kind of
I've waited in line,
painted a picture of you. Have you noticed that you've lost some of your appreciation of Buffalo classics that like people here die by?
Yeah.
Like, so let's talk about the big one, like Mighty Taco.
Don't care about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate it. It's just whatever. Take it or leave it.
But
for me.
when you were here, was your opinion of it maybe higher?
Yes.
Yeah. That could, I guess that could also be just being like a 20-year-old kid, but
yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
Jim Steakhouse, same thing.
Yeah. Labatt Blue, obviously.
Never liked it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sure we joke about this much, but like when I meet Buffalonians in New York, they're like, "Oh my god, I miss like Tim Hortons and Labatt's," and I'm like,
both of those things not from Buffalo.
Neither of those things are good. Both of them are terrible. Okay, like so stop it. You don't.
I also love Frank's hot sauce, which I'm sure you could find anywhere in
It's
New York
everywhere.
City.
It's not even. It's like bottled in New Jersey. I don't think Frank's is a Buffalo thing. Like I'm constantly going over this with people. Like I'm pretty sure that's not from Buffalo. It's just associated with Buffalo.
Yeah.
Because they used it in the original wing sauce.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting. I don't
Yeah.
know if somebody knows the answer. Let me know. But that is not a Buffalo thing at all.
Yeah. It's weird. Because I've known
You
friends.
can Frank's anywhere
I've known friends of like
in the country.
Alli's and things like that are like people make a basket to send them, and in the basket is like
Weber's mustard,
Chevettas, Frank's hot sauce for some, I don't know why.
Not like the Anchor Bar sauce.
Nope. Like a big jug of
Frank's.
like an
Like,
industrial size thing of like not even like went to Restaurant Depot and got like
like restaurant size.
Yeah.
Wow. In bulk.
Like sponge candy. I don't know. Like, have you is what if there'd be anything that you miss food?
I think sponge candy's great. I think that's underappreciated in New York.
But I mean, is there anything that you particularly miss, like home stuff that? I mean, chicken wings are chicken wings. Like,
no, surprisingly, nobody makes a good chicken wing in New York. It's shocking. Like, it's
really?
Yeah, you think it's so easy. Like, just fry the damn chicken and toss it in sauce.
Is that one of those like $1 million ideas where if you could open up like just a little wing joint?
What if we just make wings in New York the way they do? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think the problem is supply. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Buffalo, everyone's getting their chicken wings from like Will Poultry.
Yeah.
Is that a plug? Can we say Will Poultry?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm not going to bleep
Everyone
it.
go to Will Poultry for your bulk chicken needs. No, but I think their wings are like really meaty and plump.
Yeah.
And in New York, they're kind of like frail and sickly. Like maybe they lived in the subway or something. And it's just not as quality of a wing.
Okay.
Like the meat is not there. I don't know. So I think.
But the frying technique, do you think is about the same?
I mean, you drop it in the damn fryer. Like that's it. That's your technique. Right? Like you're not supposed to bread it or dredge it.
So you when you come back though, like that's sometimes on your list.
Yeah, actually lately I was kind of craving wings. I haven't had those in a long time. But I don't even. It's just one of those things I don't even bother with in New York because you're going to be disappointed. Throw wings in. Where do
you fall on the pizza? Have you felt that Buffalo's pizza?
Okay, so here's
is overrated since going to New York City.
No,
underrated.
No, I'm going to say I'm probably in the minority. But I am not a huge fan of New York pizza.
Okay.
To me, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's much to it. I think it's very thin. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. I love the thick, doughy, cheesy, saucy Buffalo pizza. Messy with the pepperoni that has the burnt edges, and it kind of cups
oil in the middle.
Oil, the grease collects in the middle. I love
the little air bubbles that pop up in the crust.
I'm dipping it in blue cheese and hot sauce all day, like that. I love it. New York pizza kind of bores me.
It's too healthy.
It's way too healthy.
I guess those would be really the big ones, though. I can't think of anything.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, like I said, besides that, I just want like home cooking when I come home. I want my mom's food. Like, whatever's in the fridge, it's been there like a week plus, I'm eating.
Yeah. Nice. That's cute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would you say now that you've been living there for a couple of years, like, are you now more into just kind of cooking at home and you've gotten away from the restaurant? Eating out as much, or?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have. Just trying to mess around in the kitchen and just, I'm not doing anything interesting, but
no.
Yeah, I guess trying to cook more on my own.
You're not trying to like recreate recipes from El Bulli or something?
This is a deconstructed buffalo pizza.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
I'm gonna say I think we glossed over and we talked about cronuts.
Yeah.
Not that great.
No? I forgot to give you your verdict on this.
I'm going to put it out there. It is overrated.
What do you think it is? Just like the name was kind of stupid?
No, I think it's very good. I think if you put them in front of me, I'll eat them all day.
Yeah.
They're really tasty. And it's not like one of those novelty items where it's like, look, it's a burger sandwich between two glazed donuts.
Yeah. Luther.
It's like, oh, it's not that kind of novelty item. Like I heard they actually put in like months of work and in getting the right consistency.
This isn't something that would be like the Erie County Fair.
No, not at all. It's not just fried croissant dough. Like there's this whole technique to it, so it's hard to make. But I think it's very tasty. I think it's good. It's just not worth a 2-hour wait. I would never do that again.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was the best thing on their menu.
Yeah.
I think that bakery actually puts out some really good stuff if you're into sweets, but which I'm not.
Yeah. Your review should be with an asterisk.
Yeah, the asterisk. Mike hates sugar.
And he thought it was okay.
I thought it was okay.
Adjust your rating accordingly.
Yeah, so there you go for all you cronut maniacs out there.
Well, speaking of weight, I guess we can kind of start to wrap this up. What about the actual dining experience when you go out? When we went out last week, or last
on your last
April,
trip, yeah.
I made a joke that I didn't make reservations at Minetta Tavern because they only had 9:30, and I was like, I'm not going to eat dinner at 9:30. And for 4 nights in a row, we had dinner at like 11, maybe, like 10, 11.
Like 10. I would say 10.
Yeah,
I mean, we were.
Roberta's was 11.
That place was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you told people that in Buffalo, they would
Not only were we seated at 11, but we got there 2-3 hours prior.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like we just walked in at 11.
Yeah. And we were going to some, I'd like to say, pretty hip places.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't going to be every New York City. But, like, have you become numb to that being a thing?
Yeah, like, if you and I went out right now and went to some restaurant in Buffalo, and they're like, it's an hour and a half wait, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's fine. You know? Whereas, like, 4 years ago, like, you and I would have been just, like, yelling, like... Right? Like,
yeah, they would have had to drag you out.
Where do you think this is? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, but no, if you, hour and a half wait, like, oh, that's enough for like a bunch of beers. Yeah, just go to a bar. I think that's just how you do it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you adjust.
Yeah,
how did you feel about that?
I felt the first one. I thought it was ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure the first two we went to, we were quoted 2.5 hour waits.
Yeah, we got to
2.5.
We got to Roberta's on a.
How awesome is that place, by the way?
It's amazing. And if I won the lottery, my first thing would be to recreate that as well as possible in Buffalo. As I just talked about not having innovation in Buffalo, I would do exactly what I just said and copy it like as much as possible and put it in like.
But your copying techniques would be innovative.
Yes, and I would put it in like the West Side in like the cheapest huge building I could find.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
yeah. But
possibly the East Side.
Yeah, I could be the single-handedly revive the East Side. But when they said 2:30, it was on a Wednesday night. We got there at 9. And,
yeah, it was a Wednesday night.
And I was expecting like, oh, well, it's a shame. I thought we were going to eat here tonight. and it literally took you being like, oh, we'll just grab some drinks. It'll be fine. And
I didn't really believe it'd be 2.5 hours. I thought.
You think they do that to scare people
not
away?
That they scare. I think they're just being cautious.
Yeah.
You know, they're going worst case scenario. This is how long you'll wait. Usually you don't wait that long. I think there it was like to the second. Like they were dead on.
Yeah. It was pretty much 2.5 hours. But it was fun. I mean, it worked out because they have a tiki bar. We had a cheese plate and meat plate.
Yep.
But
what was the cheap beer of the day over there?
Oh crap!
Do you remember?
Was it Narragansett?
There was a Narragansett, but there was something else, like Bud Heavy or something, like regular Bud.
Yeah.
Or no, Coors Banquet.
Coors Banquet. They had a sign that said, drink like you're somebody or something.
Oh, you love that.
Yeah, I still think about getting it tattooed on me. Drink up like you're supposed to be somebody. It was something like that. It was amazing.
Yeah, you took do you still have the picture?
I have the picture. Yeah. But it's just I never even thought like that was going to be an issue on our trip. I was like, oh, we're probably going to have to wait an hour. When we went to Alder, at that point it was like a couple days into the trip, and I was like, we're not even like they're going to just tell us to leave. Like,
yeah, I mean that place had just opened. There was a lot of buzz, so
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd get seated either. It turns out we were the last names put on the list that night.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah, but I mean, have you just either gotten to the point where you?
No, I don't bother. It's too much of a headache. If the place is that hot,
Yeah,
I usually won't bother. Says the guy who went for a cronut last week. But
that was a once in a lifetime. But for like a regular night out, like you're not waiting.
no, I
two
don't.
and
No
a half
way.
hours.
No.
Yeah, you just kind of know the spots that are good but aren't.
Yeah, I think
crazy.
eventually you settle down in your usual places that you can go to on a regular basis.
Did you find like being? How long did it take you to be okay with eating at the same place twice? I feel like that would take me a long time in New York City.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I did that pretty early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never made somewhere.
I guess like just being rational, like you're just eventually going to have to be like, I can't take a train for 30 minutes every time I want to get dinner or something like that.
Right. Or like this place is right next to me. It's amazing. And I have, I just moved to New York, so I constantly have visitors coming.
Oh yeah.
So I would take them to the same place every time.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So what, is there any places right now on your hit list that you're thinking about trying as soon as possible, or has it been things that you've been looking for? Like,
yeah, I don't know, just places in mind. Like I haven't been pursuing it all that seriously lately.
Yeah.
French restaurants are in right now.
Really?
Kind of hot. Yeah, I don't know why, but I think we were talking about this, how like the Asian hipster rants. Was it you that says they hate that word? The hipster rant?
I haven't heard of the hipster, but I want to use it now.
Instead of a hipster restaurant.
That's pretty great.
I don't know, who was it talking to? They're like, I hate that word. But
definitely
anyway.
not somebody from Buffalo, because no one in Buffalo, I don't think has used that word ever.
Yeah, I guess like the whole like scene that started with David Chang. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's kind of on the fall after Pock Pock and Mission were like the last of it. Right?
Yeah.
Now these French
And that Mission guy is doing like
are
a
coming
Mexican
up.
restaurant now.
Yeah. And then we April Bloomfield did that Mexican restaurant. Right?
Yeah,
We
that
went
was
to
really
Salvation
cool.
Taco. That place is cool.
Yeah. But nothing like have you ever even considered trying to dabble in the world of like the fine dining crazy places?
Yeah, I mean just a couple of times. I guess I haven't done much of it. No.
Yeah. It's just insane. I mean, it's $300 a plate.
Yeah, I mean it's really expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
I guess it's one of those things you're always waiting for the right occasion, and then you just keep whatever that. I think it's like the plastic on the couch or like the china on the china cabinet. It's only for the right occasion.
Yeah.
And that occasion never comes.
Hey, you turn 30 next year. That's a reason to go somewhere.
Fuck yeah. I guess so.
I turned 30 as well, so that's
time to be-
two restaurant trips that
Time
we
to
could
be a
justify.
grown-up. I know. Well, the thing with all those really expensive places is I don't happen to work for a company that sends me there. Like,
Yeah.
take a client out for this $1,000 meal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
that would
day.
help.
That would definitely
really help. But I've done a handful, I'd say.
Yeah. And do you feel like 'cause you can spend a lot of money in Buffalo at dinner? Like there's certain restaurants where you could, but like, is there a part of you that like still feels weird dropping that much money? Like,
Yeah, I mean, because you think like, okay, I would have been equally as full, just like literally just on like sustenance. Like,
yeah.
I would have survived the night had I eaten a $1 slice of pizza. How can that not enter your head?
Or like a $5 shawarma or something like that.
Yeah. Like how could that not pop up in your head? Like just just for a second, even if you really enjoyed the meal.
Yeah.
You know,
Your experience has been pretty good. I mean, I know you loved your WD-50.
I did. I really enjoyed that experience. Went to Gramercy Tavern. That was great. ABC Kitchen was amazing.
Nice.
I don't know. There's probably a bunch I'm forgetting. Sambar, which is kind of casual, but still highly regarded, I guess.
That's a pretty good lineup right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I'm missing others that I can't think of. But.
Nice. Well, I know I'm looking forward to my trip this October and hitting up some places with Tommy. And
come as often as you can, man.
Yeah.
And all your listeners, bring them too. All of them.
All of them are welcome to stay at your place.
They can all crash in my apartment.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for coming down here and talking about your history with New York City and,
my pleasure,
and eating and all the other
Direct
good
all
stuff.
your hate mail to Don Bertless.
Labatt Blue sucks.
Yeah, Labatt.
That should be my next T-shirt for Buffalo Eats.
Labatt
It should
Blue
have the
sucks.
Buffalo Eats logo and underneath Labatt Blue sucks.
Or just like a whole line of them that like Tim Hortons sucks, Labatt sucks.
That actually, the
I
Broadway
guess that's not a line,
market
it's
is
two.
no. The Broadway market isn't that great.
Is it not? I've actually never gone.
It's kind of overrated now, but whatever. But all right, man.
Well,
Well,
buddy.
well, thanks for coming down here, buddy.
My pleasure.
All right.